Black Widow. I mean, I don't know what to think about this movie anymore. Amanda, Kevin Feige, Kevin Feige rumor here. He had, I guess, out there that there's three options. We're going to have in 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to have some decision. It's going to come in theaters this year, or it's going to go to Disney Plus, or maybe they scrap it altogether. Not scrap it altogether, but eventually have a release date for it.
Yeah. Okay.
The film's already shot.
Yeah,
the film is both. Yeah, shot is already made, but make that decision. There's a ripple effect because now the shows are going to be affected. Other movies are going to be affected. We talked about it last week. Just put it on Disney Plus, but we say that as fans. But logistically speaking, contractually speaking, you can't just do things with things being signed. They're not Warner Brothers, HBO Max, and just doing it against their people's knowings. But what's going on with Black Widow, Amanda? Are we going to see this by the end of the year?
I'm tired. I'm just tired. The conversation around Black Widow has been like, the amount of times it's moved, it's so sad for Scarlett. Like she deserved one ever since Iron Man 2. Like right after, there should have been a standalone, either before or after the Avengers. It should have been there. But we have to look at the timeline as well. I think we mentioned it earlier, that Black Widow takes place after Civil War, before Infinity War. So I'm assuming the post-credit scene is the only thing that's going to tie into any of the movies or the TV shows. Like, I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. But if we move Black Widow, you have to move everything else, because that's the way this works. So I don't know if they're willing to move everything over again, considering how well WandaVision's doing, how amped people are for Spider-Man 3. Like, I don't think it's a good move to move everything. But if Black Widow can somehow come out on Disney Plus, people can pay the $30 for premiere access. I still think that they'll make money. They'll definitely get people subscribing if they're going to go watch Black Widow. I think that's another option too that they can look at. Yeah. But it's the way that I always said this, if WandaVision ties into something else, then they can't move it. Especially if it ties into Spider-Man, they cannot move anything anymore. So now it's it's crunch time, and he really needs to push for Disney Plus. I think it'll do well. I really do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris, man. Like Amanda said, I think as Kevin Feige, he always has things planned out. So again, you introduce Florence Pugh and Black Widow because you want to probably have her maybe appear in Hawkeye. You don't want to have her appear in a TV show that was planned before the film that was supposed to come out last year. So it does set a stage for, it's a domino effect that now all these shows are going to probably be affected by the events of whatever happens in Black Widow. Mm-hmm. Should they just drop it on Disney Plus, man, and just call it a day? Or do you feel like Kevin Feige should stand strong? He wants these movies to come in theaters as they were intended to be seen.
I don't know the real contractual information on this. I don't know why. I don't know why he wouldn't be strongly considering theatrical and Disney Plus for 30.
Same time, yeah.
Especially in May. Like, movies have been coming out in the theaters, and I'm in New York City, so I can't go to the movies. That's why you see the single tear come down my eye. So, but there's it's only, what is it? Only us in LA that can't go to the movies. But we're talking about May and
biggest cities in America.
Right, exactly. But we're talking about May. So who knows? Our governor just opened up our restaurants again, and it's February. There's gonna be more vaccines. We're averaging 1.6 million vaccines per day. So by May, maybe New York City is open for the theater. And if you're still kind of worried about it, you can just watch it on Disney Plus. I don't know, so maybe Kevin Feige would be like, you idiot, contractually that can't work. Maybe, whatever. Right. But that'd be my idea, because at first, thinking about Disney Plus, I was like, oh man, they put it on Disney Plus, that's kind of whack. But with the kind of content that we're seeing, the quality of content that we're seeing on Disney Plus with WandaVision, I'm like, oh wait, this is not I'm thinking at first oh, that's kind of whack if you got demoted to Disney Plus, but they're putting out quality shit on Disney Plus, so it's not it's not even a slap in the face. It's are you telling me this Black Widow is going to be that much better than what we're seeing from WandaVision and what we will see at the end of 9 episodes? If this was Infinity War or Endgame, I'm not. I don't care. I'm not watching it at my house. I'll fly to Podunk, Idaho, wherever the theaters are open, and I'll watch it. But we're talking about the Black Widow, and y'all been dragging it up for a long time. You get back in, in the good books. You push it hard on marketing. You get people back excited about it. You put it out in the theaters. Most people will be able to see it by May. If you're not, you can watch it at home. I think that's what I would do if I was running this place.
Man, a lot of good stuff there, Chris, because again, what does that mean for a film like, Soul? What does that mean for Raya and the Dragon? Like, are they just like throwaway films that you could just throw them on a platform? What's the precedent that you're setting that you can't put a movie like Black Widow? Again, I want to see it in theaters just as much as the next person, but what's so special about Black Widow that you can't put it on Disney Plus in theaters at the same? You're still putting it in theaters for those that are safe that can go to theaters. What's the hesitation? Only thing I can think of is you have mega stars in this movie, a la Scarlett Johansson, who makes back-end points on theatrical box office numbers that she's like, if you put this on Disney Plus, I will sue you, Disney, or something of that nature. Like, there has to be some contract involved that they can't put this on Disney Plus. But Kristen, your thoughts on this film being delayed? It's like the equivalent of James Bond at this point. Just keeps going to push back, and who's going to care when it comes out? You got to put it out.
I think that's the problem. I mean, right now, it feels like a New Mutants situation where it's like,
yeah,
this thing was coming. Honestly, this thing should have probably come many years ago.
True. Yeah.
Too late. So like at this point, like, I mean, I don't know if I feel like it's losing its excitement and steam. And, like you said, Elliot, I don't know if maybe there's like all these secret background deals where it's like, oh, you can't do this because, maybe she's, Scarlett Johansson is such a big star. Yeah. But I agree with Chris. Put it on Disney Plus, put it out in theaters at the same time. Like, all it does is delay all these other things. And, we're in the middle of like unprecedented times. This is actually your opportunity to think outside the box. Is there another solution that's better than putting it on Disney Plus and theaters? Do that. Like, we can think outside the box now in these like different situations that like we never had opportunities to like tap into before. Right. Maybe there's like some other thing that we could be doing to maximize films that's like completely different than all of that. Right. I don't know, but I feel like this is the time to do something different. So if you feel like there's another way, like, people should be brainstorming on the team. How can we like give this the best punch? But right now, I feel like it's already like been delayed so many times.
Yeah,
it already should have come out like years ago. So I'm already kind of not that interested. Yeah. But and then the more you push it back, I feel like it's gonna have an effect like New Mutants, where like people didn't really like it, people didn't care.
Yeah. A lot of great points you make there. Again, why can't you put it on a streaming service? What's the contracts involved there? Again, Kevin Feige and Bob Iger said it months ago that Disney Plus is a priority. So wouldn't it make sense? I mean, if you want the future streaming, Netflix last month just told us we're going to get a movie every single week. HBO 2 months ago just did something completely out of left field and put all The Matrix, Godzilla, Wonder Woman at home for you to watch. So is Disney just too like? There has to be something more to it. Zach, what's up, man? Black Widow can't be on streaming? What's up?
Well, so I just, while we were talking, looked up Box Office Mojo for the latest Pixar releases and the latest Marvel releases, and I'll just go the past 6 releases, and I'm talking in hundreds of millions of dollars rather than counting every number. So the last 6 Pixar, in terms of hundreds of millions, 434, 608, 210, 152, 486, 123. Whereas the last 6 Marvel, 390, 858, 426, 216, 678, 700 million. So we are talking about a difference of potentially a couple $100 million in terms of what does it cost to put Soul on Disney Plus versus what does it cost to put Black Widow on Disney Plus.
Right.
And
Good point.
I just don't really remember reading much about like whether or not Mulan was a success. Obviously, Mulan is a different bag than a new Marvel movie, but I question Disney's faith in the whole premium plus model, the $30 model. Maybe they are trying Raya again as another experiment at it, but they really want this movie in theaters. And I think the biggest difference between this year and last year is it at least seems like we have a finish line in terms of this pandemic lockdown situation, right? We're in the US, all of us, I believe, where 52 million people have already been given the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. The Biden administration has talked about giving 300 million people the vaccine by July. The population of US is only 328 million. I kind of feel like if you push this movie back 2 months, the majority of the country is going to be able to see this in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And that might be the solution. Like maybe it is just like a 2-month push, and then things are back to normal, and then it can make its money the way that they want it to.
Yeah.
It just seems like we're kind of it's somebody's got to blink eventually.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, you know, the idea of maybe making $200 million extra from this release is gonna win out.
That's fair. I'll add real quick too before you jump in. Like, Mulan was not a success, but it was also Mulan. Like, imagine if the pandemic was whatever, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. Like, imagine Lion King going $30 on Disney Plus. Like, regardless of what you thought about that movie, like people were paying $30 to see Beyonce and all this whatever.
For sure.
You know, like they would pay for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Black Widow, the same thing. Like Soul, obviously that's a free movie. Pixar, the numbers are startling, and those are hundreds of millions of dollars we're talking about. But we're still talking about these are kids. Like it's for kids.
Yeah.
So
and it is a good point. Again, those movies you just mentioned are everyone can see it, but they're targeted towards kids. And again, we're in a pandemic and they're kid-friendly movies. So yeah, a parent will pay $30 to have little Jimmy be quiet for 2 hours versus, you know, maybe someone paying $30 for Black Widow that may or may not want to dish out that money because the kids might not be able to watch a more mature Disney Plus movie versus the kid-friendly film. So you brought up a lot of good numbers. I love numbers, Zach, and I appreciate you dropping the knowledge there, man. That's why we have you on today. And I think you're so right, man. I think there is a little bit of precedent to be said. Like, just wait it out, guys. Kevin Feige's like, just give me 2 months. You know, I have Avengers. They're cooking up some vaccines right now. I'll have Captain Marvel drop some vaccines off to everyone at home. But
to see if that will happen, because you know, like last year, everyone was like, "Oh, I had a few months." You know, I mean, it's a different stage now, but also like, you know, I feel like our lives and things in the world have just changed like significantly. So you know, who really knows if maybe in 2 months things will be different or
great point.
I mean,
and to that point, even if things are different, it doesn't mean that people still feel comfortable going to a theater in 2 months after the vaccine. Like, it's still going to be people that are going to be in their home that maybe feel comfortable watching things at home now because they spent $3,000 on a 70-inch television, Bose speakers and all that. So there is that idea that it's not a guarantee that once things are fine, that people are going to be flocking at the theaters. The industry is going to be changed forever. You know, I'm not saying theaters are gone away. That's a whole nother conversation, but it's not a guarantee that Kevin Feige is going to get $1 billion, you know, Black Widow film just because it's out in theaters and people are vaccinated and all that. Nothing's guaranteed, right?
You can't.
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
If everyone gets a vaccine or everyone that's allowed to get the vaccine, let's pretend it's June. Yeah. Let's say this movie comes out in July. Black Widow's not going to be the movie that everyone's like, oh, fuck it, let's go. Like,
I'm going 3 times.
It's not going to be the one. Yeah, it's not happening. I watched Avengers like Endgame like 5 times in the theaters. Like, no, it's not happening. He has to realize that.
And again, Disney Plus was, I think you mentioned it earlier, Zach, 94 million subscribers coming up. Like, that is insane, man. So just imagine, again, talk about money. Putting Black Widow on Disney Plus, you might get triple the subscribers.
Disney Plus is so successful now. I wonder if they almost think it's not worth it to put Black Widow on Disney Plus because they've already signed up for it. Right? Because part of the reason you put these properties on there is to get people to sign up in the first place.
Well, Zach, I think you just said it. We're going to get Disney Plus is the next streaming service coming later this May with Black Widow being the premiere film. Guys, let us know in the chat what you all think about Black Widow. Do you want to see it? Should it be on Disney Plus? All that fun stuff. And let's have a good discussion about it. Last topic.